Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. We're taking a look here today at Telos, and it's a really cool coin in the sense that I actually have a lot of requests from it recently. It makes perfect sense considering it's up on the day, but it does look like it has a lot of potential to hit its all-time high and possibly even break that in the near future. Okay. Obviously, it depends on what Bitcoin does, which is why we always look at that first. But generally speaking, we're going to dive deeper into that here today. And if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. Always recommend you do your own research and ensure you learn what you can from as many people as possible. Okay. Don't take what I say as the only method of success. Just because I average 80 to 85% in my trades doesn't mean you have to try to utilize the same mechanics, right? Everyone has their own style. Develop your own. We have different risk tolerances, so it's important that you learn what you can from whomever you're exposed to, right? So, get a good group of folks that you want to learn from. Hopefully, you can learn something here today. My goal is to ensure that you become a better trader. I like to try to explain things as I go along, so if you continue to watch my videos, you'll notice that there's a common theme there that I love to educate others. Speaking of education, I have an awesome group over in my Patreon account. Feel free to reference that in your own time, but I actually have a signal group where I send out signals consistently on every single trade that I take. And I actually have a trading bot. You can one-click follow. It's a really cool option. So check that out in your own time. But more importantly, we have a private chat group and we all get a chance to be able to learn and grow together. So it's an awesome experience. So happy to have you along there. Recommend the first and we'll take it from there. So regardless of that, why don't we go and jump right in the charts? I do get a little chatty sometimes. Apologize for the side banter there. Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Telos. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first. So if you're new to the channel and it's the first time checking it out, thank you very much. Obviously, welcome. But more importantly, we look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a quick baseline on the market so we know exactly what's going on before we make a decision, right? Because an informed decision is a good decision. And if we don't understand what Bitcoin is doing, how are we going to understand what the market is doing? All right. So unless you've been living under a rock, Bitcoin controls the market, and that really is the foundation for everything. So we'll take a look at that first. And just know we are essentially utilizing here. I use TradingView.com desktop application. Link in the description below for a free month if you're interested in checking it out, seeing if you like it, to try before you buy. It does have a free version, but the paid versions are much better because you get a lot more indicators present at any given time. And to do a good analysis, you technically need more than 2 indicators. Just generally speaking. Okay, we'll go through some of those here today. Regardless of that fact, we are looking here at Bitcoin for our chart. Let's go ahead and get our moving averages up here. And one thing that's really nice is the fact that we do have the 50-day simple moving average working as a support level now. Okay, so good news is price retraces back down. We could see 43,000 being a new support. In fact, I do think on the 4-hour chart, if we kind of look at this here, we might just want to mark that anyways because 43,000 has been tested for basically 3 to 4 times in a row. So that's what 8 to 16 hours, I guess you could say here. And then previously what worked as a resistance. Now it doesn't mean we're out of the woodwork yet, based on the fact that we still don't know what will happen tomorrow with the U.S. news or tonight at midnight, but it does look favorable. I think we're going to be okay. Also, furthermore, too, keep in mind we do have an ascending wedge pattern here. Correction, descending wedge, which basically just means it could break down to basically to the downside here to work between 38,000 and 41,000. That's a potential. Don't get me wrong, not to say it's going to happen, but Fridays are typically red days, so I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if we see some type of retracement going into the weekend, but likely an increase throughout the weekend based on the simple fact that we normally have increases over the weekend. Bear in mind, there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt right now, so that could be a nice slow and steady increase over the weekend instead of a traditional significant increase. But just something to kind of think about. Regardless of that fact, we're currently up above the support here at about 43,000 and the resistance is about 44,000. So it's in a small channel right now. It could very well break to the upside. Okay, keep that in mind. Tomorrow could be a green day. It's less common, less likely, but hey, if the news is favorable, I think that we're going to be in pretty good shape. Moving on to Ethereum, we've got a resistance here at about 3,200. Current support is 2,900. That was a previous strong support level. And also bear in mind, 50-day simple moving average is working as a support. Okay, so we're kind of in this area of just say 2,975 upwards of 3,100 or 3,200 rather. So we got this little channel it's going to be working within probably for some time until Bitcoin breaks above just say 40. 46,800 is a major resistance. So if we come above 46.8, we'll be in really good shape for Ethereum to take off again. Moving on to Telos. Let's take a look here. Now, I believe I covered this before, but I feel like it recently did reset the charts here. So we'll just go ahead and remark some support and resistance levels. I see a pretty obvious one right here, and that looks to be at about 77 cents. So 77 cents is a current resistance level. Previous support, we've also got potential of about 85 cents as well, working as a resistance. So I'll go ahead and mark that guy too. Really close to 85 cents. I think it's 84.5, but we could just say 85. But we'll go ahead and mark that just for future reference. Now, bear this in mind. On the one-day chart, we do only have the 50 because there's not enough trading data here again. Telos is essentially just, yeah, I don't believe it's really, I mean, it could be on a different exchange, but it's not picking up on TradingView. This appears to be only on KuCoin for the moment that I'm aware of. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but generally speaking, that is what we're looking at here, just the one exchange. And that basically just means that it probably had its ICO date right back here, May 17th. So it doesn't have 200 days of trading data for the 200-day simple moving average to be on here, which is all well and good. That's no problem at all. But the average essentially here for the 50, so the last 50 days, the price right now is about 59 cents. So it's working as a support level. You can see it kind of pushing the price back up again. We've got RSI is just breaking up over 50. That's really good. That was a potential resistance level previously, but now it's back up. So therefore, we should expect some bullish sentiment, some bullish momentum. Again, it really does depend on how Bitcoin performs here soon, but you can tell that even when Bitcoin does average, Telos was doing very well. So it took off strong on the 22nd of August, and ever since then it's been pretty high, all things considered. So hopefully you were one of the fortunate few to get in around 18 to 20 cents, 18 to 30. That would be awesome. You're probably 2 or 3x by now. That's really good news. But what we can see here, this is a good sign. You can see the MACD kind of bounced. I'm going to keep an eye on this one here based on the simple fact that when we have a convergence like that, it could swing upwards. Obviously, it's trying, but we need another day or two for that to kind of come to fruition. But there's a strong potential we might see a convergence in the MACD there to the upside, which would be a very, very good sign. So I'm interested to see what the Ishimoku cloud tells us on the 1 hour chart, but also, furthermore, what the 4 hour chart's telling us as well. I'm sure we have a convergence on there, and we'll take a look at that here next. So 4 hour, first and foremost, we've got the 50-day simple moving average as a support level. However, the 200 is working as a resistance. Also bear in mind too, we're traveling into 77 cents as a previous resistance level too, or previous support rather, turned resistance. Therefore, we could see a pretty strong resistance channel here between 73 and 77 cents, which is probably what we're experiencing right now. So we saw this pump here previously, got rejected, another one as well. So keep in mind that is somewhat synonymous with Bitcoin's movement because we saw a big increase here, and then it retraced and increased again. Significant increase, retrace, and bounce again. So again, it is reliant on Bitcoin to an extent. You can kind of see that there's some similar price movement. It's not exact, of course, it's more exaggerated. So when Bitcoin goes up, just say, 1%, this one's going up 2 to 3%. Just kind of give you pull a number out of a hat. It's essentially 2 to 3x at this point. So that's great news. So that basically means if we see Bitcoin jump up past 44,000 and start trending to 46.8, we'll probably see this one come up to test its most recent high of $1.03, or just say a resistance level at about $1 even. So we got a pretty strong resistance level at $1. We'll just go ahead and mark that as well. But all in all, pretty good stuff here. I do see that this could end up testing its previous all-time high. You could get a good 25% out of the next pump, the next leg up to hit that resistance. And once again, Bitcoin breaks 46.8, 50,000, etc., which I think it will definitely do in October, and we're going to see this one take off. So I think I might actually consider sending a signal for this guy here. Taking a look, of course, at the MACD, we had a convergence at about 1300 on the 29th. So let's go ahead and mark that as well. So 2900, there you go. Right in this range there, we got a convergence on the MACD. All right, let's take a look at the 1 hour. I'm excited to see if there's a correlation here, how the Ishimoku cloud works. Very close. That's probably within about 3 hours. That's awesome. All right, so future reference, if you're new to the channel, Ishimoku cloud's a very good indicator. First of all, your highest priority, if you're going to prioritize any type of indicator, it's the MACD convergence in the 4 hour chart. Secondary to that would be the 1-day chart, but the 4-hour chart really gives us a firm understanding of the fact that the bears have lost control and the bulls are in complete control. Okay, and just to kind of note that if you're understanding, you see these red lines in the oscillator, basically telling us that there's more bearish volume than the bullish volume. And once that switch happens, the 12 intersects with the 26 in upward fashion, we get this convergence essentially, and that's that shift in momentum. Okay, so we mark that on the 4-hour chart. So we have a shift in momentum here from bearish to bullish, and look what it's done since then, right? So had you picked up on that indication on the 4-hour chart, you'd be somewhere in the range of just say 15 to 20%, right? Now that we're here right now, we obviously want to find out if it's worth investing in the future, but that is essentially what happened. So try to pay attention to those things. But furthermore, the icing on the cake, I like to call it, or a double rainbow, is essentially when you have the Ishimoku cloud above. In other words, the price is above the cloud on the 1-hour chart. Specifically the 1-hour chart, this is the most effective time frame for the cloud in my personal opinion. In all my experience, it works the most consistent. So when you see the 4-hour chart converge and the 1-hour chart for the Ishimoku cloud getting broken, in other words, the price breaks above, that is essentially a strong indication of a buy signal to go long. Okay. So again, I know hindsight's 2020. I get that. I totally understand, because it's not like we're right here and it's like, oh, it's breaking out. And some people ask me, why do you always catch coins after they break out? Well, it's obvious in the sense that I'm helping you looking at these after the fact, right? Because I get these requests usually when the price is already pumped up. But I actually set alerts for myself when the price breaks above specific coins, the 1-hour chart. Then it tells me when the price is above the cloud. I recommend setting alerts through TradingView. It'll give you that understanding, that knowledge, in the sense that you're moving in the right direction. Okay. So anyways, long story short here, we've got two awesome things right here telling us that the price was about to increase. So those are something worth looking into, right? Just something you can kind of put in your own bag. And for future reference too, as well, I didn't explain this, I apologize. When the price is above the cloud, it's considered a buy signal. So when it breaks above here, again, you're kind of just shifting that momentum from bearish to bullish. And then when the price is below, obviously it's considered a short signal. You'd want to kind of go short essentially and go down with the price. And you could have got 15% on that short position if you took entry there and went to close to the lowest point. Again, I know it's easier said than done to catch these things, but try to look for those in your own experience. It's very helpful. Let's go ahead and take a look at TD Sequential and see. We are at a 9 right now. We're probably going to get a reset, so it's likely that we're going to see some sideways action moving forward. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. When you have TD Sequential enabled, it's basically taking the 4th previous candlestick and counting up from there. If it's, of course, ascending, it's going up. When it's going down, it counts down as well. But simply put, when you see a 9, it usually will retrace and or consolidate. Okay, so let's just go with an example here. This is counting up from 1 to a 9 here. So we can kind of see that. We've got one extra sharp candlestick that got sold off. But what happened here is basically we had 9 hours of bullish momentum, and that had to stop at one point or another, right? So it stopped right there, essentially. The price went sideways for a good 5 or 6 hours, and then it took off and continue to increase again. So the reason why this is helpful is because we see a 9 right now. That basically means that we've kind of reached a state of somewhat of an exhaustive state. In other words, the bulls have been in control for this amount of time, right? This 9 hours plus, and the price should expect to go sideways or come back down because there's that natural law of how trading works, right? It's never a straight line. It's always just an up down. Consistent wave pattern. That's part of that wave pattern essentially. So just something to note. So that being said, that really helps us understand here that even though we are pushing and haven't quite hit this resistance level, it's still calming down and needing to kind of relax before it tries to increase again. So do I think it's going to increase right now? I would only say that yes, if Bitcoin shot past 44,000 and continued to increase towards 45. Right, if we get another large leg up from Bitcoin, then yeah, Telos will increase. Until we get that, though, I think we're going to see kind of just this slower, consistent increase pattern to eventually test this resistance level of about 77 cents. Yeah. So again, until we break 77 cents, that's going to continue to work as a resistance, so just bear that in mind. But for right now, we're looking to be in pretty good shape here. In other words, I foresee the price going sideways for a little bit longer. I want it to go sideways, and here's the reason why. Because any good bull run will have a kind of a staircase pattern. If you've seen my videos before, you'll know where I'm going with this. But it's simply put, price comes up and over, That's what a staircase pattern should look like, right? Again, this isn't exactly that. It had a pretty sharp increase, but if you kind of spread it out, so to speak, you can kind of see that it's actually doing something like that, right? Coming up and over, up and over. Now, will it leg up again? Perhaps. It just needs enough time, needs more time to kind of consolidate. Because if the price goes up too fast, you've probably seen this yourself, it comes down fast as well. It usually retraces about 50% of its original starting point within the next couple of days. So in order to avoid that, we want to see this kind of relax and consolidate for a moment longer. Moving on to the 15, let's go ahead and take a quick look at EMA and VWAP and call it a day here. And as you can kind of see, the price is above VWAP. Big surprise on any type of bull run, you're going to see that. But just note, the VWAP line stands for volume weighted average price, right? What that is, it takes the volume last 24 hours, expresses as a price. Therefore, right now, at this current state, 67 cents should be the price, whereas the price is upwards of about 72 cents. Now, there's a variance there. I would say right about 6%, so that's not terrible. But when that variance gets over 10%, like we saw back here, look how high that got. I got about 12% away from the VWAP, and it had to come back down. Okay. So there's standard deviation lines with volume weighted average price. You can kind of see them here. Basically just tells us when the price goes too far outside of that norm, it comes back down. Now, also bear this in mind too, the EMA line, this red line here, is essentially working as a support level. So look at it keeps holding here, and it's holding here as well. So that's a very good sign, very good continuation of a bull pattern. But just bear in mind too, we're probably going to see some sideways action. The price will likely drop below the EMA lines here soon. And if it holds above support on VWAP at about 68 cents, then we're going to be in pretty good shape. In other words, we shouldn't expect it to retrace significantly if it does that. Because look at this here. Here's an example. The price comes down. It tests both EMA and VWAP, and it bounces, right? So we got a little bounce right there. This is healthy. This is good. We like to see that. So if it were to break below and stay below the VWAP line, kind of start trending sideways or below that, then we'd know that the bulls have lost control and it's more of a bearish divergence. Okay. Again, these are all things that I look at when I analyze my charts. Best thing to do is go from top to bottom. In other words, look at the one-day chart, identify, the moving averages, the exponential moving averages on the MACD, as well as the simple moving averages on the chart, and then just kind of work your way down as well. 4-hour chart, take a look at the conversions there if you have one or not. Then I've obviously identified where you're at in the 1-hour chart too, in regard to the Ishimoku cloud. So there's just, again, little things I look at pretty much every single analysis. Granted, there's more that comes into it because you got to understand what Bitcoin's doing. So do what I just did for Bitcoin, and you'll become a professional if you do that every single time before you make an investment. Okay. I know it sounds simple. I'm downplaying it because it's not. I mean, it's taken me 15 years to get here, don't get me wrong. But on the same accord, you want to have good risk tolerance and good risk management. And, in order to approach a coin like this, you need to know what Bitcoin is doing. So I always like to kind of stress that because we can see there's a correlation between the two. Yes, it's done very well when Bitcoin goes sideways, but if Bitcoin does poorly, it decreases significantly as well, right? Again, it's like a 2 to 3x coin. So if Bitcoin goes down 1%, we can expect a 3% retracement with something like this. Anyways, that being said, if you like what you see here, maybe consider joining my my Patreon accounts. I actually have a signal group that I send out, and I provide best practice, entry points, stop targets, everything you need to know. And what's cool is I actually have this Coinstats bot that I'm using now, and it sends out signals you can one-click follow and essentially follow all of my signals. There's one right there regarding just where to go next and essentially how to kind of navigate that. And it does it all for you. It's a really cool concept. So, check that out in your own time, of course. I got a video explaining all those benefits as well. So check that out, of course. But I do want to thank you so much for making it through the video. If you are watching this far, thank you so much. And we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see ya.